What is the latest news in Warzone? Well, we have it all for you in our news section. We also have our top 5 clips. Are you going to be good enough to be featured? We have a wonderful interview with Miles, the Ross professional CDL caster. What does he run in Warzone? We have the car 98k. Is it viable? Should you be using it? And we find out what's the hype about military base. Is it worth dropping there? Hello and welcome to Morezone, everything Call of Duty, Warzone and more. I'll be your host for this episode, Alan Bryce, and we'll be bringing you all the latest in the world of Verdansk this week. Speaking of the latest, it's time to jump straight into our news in Morezone News. In the news this week around, we have the 4th of July celebrations kicking off. You will see fireworks in the background of your lobby if you haven't been seeing it so far. As well as that, you are going to start seeing the 4th of July pack, as well as the Freedom pack containing an M4 with tracer rounds that go between red, white and blue. Lots of things for Patriots to get their hands on this time around. As well in the news this week, Juggernaut Royale has finally dropped onto the map. If you do get a chance to play this game mode, you will come against the Juggernauts, a capturable pack that drops from the sky and will allow you to equip a minigun and heavy armor. You only recover health by killing other people. It is a great fun game mode. I fully recommend jumping in and experiencing the terror of a lunatic wielding a minigun. Last but not least in the news this week, the CDL Championship Series at the end of the league postseason has been moved to a purely online format. This is because of the COVID-19 pandemic currently gripping the planet, and in my mind is a very wise move for everyone involved. That's the news this week. Well, there you go, the news for this week. Not heavy on the news like last week, but the patch notes have already hit and we're just picking up the pace and seeing what is the latest going on. But speaking of the latest, it's time for this week's top 5 clips. In at number 5, Scrubby FPS with a quick 1-2, kicking things off by outplaying the duo he's currently facing and somehow walking away. Number 4, we have Snoop. Now this is a long clip, so for some context, what's going on right now is that there's a C4 that has been loaded onto the drone. So teamwork comes in here to make this clip happen. And as you can see, just the unknowing victims walking around after getting their loadout and getting into the car. Patience here from Snoop as he waits, knowing he needs to get all 3 of them for the big kill in the end. And eventually the last player gets in, he gets in front, teammate hits the trigger, and that's a team wipe. On board with Timu as we catch him mid-revive as he picks up his teammate, and there are so few players left, but he gets one, gets the second as well, sees the third, hits that one. Last shot coming in now, it'll be 4 shots, 4 hits and a win. At number 2, we jump on board with another car player who gets one down at the dam. Dravenbrawl trying to do a little bit of work as he sees a teammate going for his friend, and now that's 2. Pushing forward again, and he will see a sniper glint just in the far window as he waits, puts those bullets back in, and now is ready for it. Aimed in already, looking for this player, sees him, easy pick there, but he's not done. One more player tries to escape, 1 miss, 1 hit, and that's the clip. Our number 1 clip this week jumps us on board with DRM VBS as he's downtown and already has picked up 1 down as he tries to get some more plates in to make sure he's ready for what comes next. And I think he's going to be every bit as surprised as what you are when you see exactly what he runs into. And there we go. Already finds a team of 4 outside. Managed to get 2. Backs off. Very cleverly repositioning. Exactly what you should do in these gunfights. Comes back. Finds a player reviving. Not smart from them. Gets it down. Another player in distance. That one goes down as well. Not quite ready. Puts in his last 24 bullets. Finds the last player. And that's 6 kills in 35 seconds. Well, there you go, our top 5 clips of the week. And if you do fancy getting involved, make sure you either drop a Twitch clip or a YouTube link to either Reddit r/Morezone or Twitter the Morezone. And of course, that'll give you a chance of winning 2,400 COD points. And from great clips to great guys, our loadout highlight this week features Miles the Ross, professional CDL caster, and let's see what he's running in Warzone. All right. Well, thank you for joining me here, Miles. How are you?
Mate, I'm doing really good, thanks. I'm not too bad. Could be better, could be worse, but that's life in COVID times.
It certainly is. It certainly is. All right. Well, let's get straight into your loadout then. It's an overkill loadout, which a lot of people seem to run, especially off the rip straight away. Your main weapon of choice is the Kilo, though. You've moved away from the Growl, the M4, all these other weapons. Why the Kilo?
Mate, the Kilo, look, bottom line is I'm bored of the Growl. Bottom line is I've spent enough time in Verdansk running around growling people, and I wanted to do something a little different. With that latest patch in Season 4, the Kilo, honestly, it feels fine. You know, I think it's a little bit more fun to use than the M4 right now. I think the Growl, for me, is just boring. I still understand that at range it's very, very effective. I know the Kilo's not really kicking it that well, but I like it a lot. I honestly, I've got nothing wrong with the way it handles. I like the kill time. It's a fine weapon. It's a bloody fine weapon.
It is. It is. I'm enjoying it a lot myself as well. The one thing I think maybe I see differently that you're running than other people, it's that optic, the Cronin Pro optic.
Yeah, it is.
Why that?
So I can explain that. If you're like me and you like to collect all the things, you have to use the Cronin optic in order to unlock certain reticles for the gun. So I'm actually in the process of unlocking all of the various reticles for the sort of combat optics for the scout. You have to work the scout first. You do the VLK. I would prefer to use the VLK. Obviously, it's a lot cleaner. There's a lot less going on there. But basically, where I am in the challenges right now, I have to use the Cronin C480 to progress. So that's really why I'm using it. But at the end of the day, it performs the same way as the VLK. It's got a very slight, again, just in art design, very, very slightly thicker border. But honestly, mate, it works very well. I can't complain. I really can't.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Like I said, I think the Kilo has become one of the fan favorites recently, especially the way you've set it up, right? Which is basically kind of a lot of people recommend it. You've got things like the monolithic suppressor, which is almost every single gun, the longer barrel to help reduce recoil, 60-round mags for spraying, and the Commando foregrip for control, right? It's a very good platform for kind of getting into Verdansk with.
Yeah, the only thing I would maybe do if I'm not running that optic, I'd have a stippled grip. You know, or maybe I'd go no stock maybe, or one of the lighter stocks. But yeah, I think there's a decent balance here between how fast, you know, like the ADS speed and just the general weapons performance. So I'm honestly very, very happy with this. Really content with it. I've had some of my highest kill games recently with this. So yeah, man, it's working out. It really is.
No, I can 100% see it. Let's talk about the other half then. It's what a lot of people are running now, what I like to call the meta MP5. Very, very good platform, right? It's something that basically everybody's running. It works well at close to medium ranges. It gives you the maneuverability. Is it just something that you feel like you have to have in the game at the moment?
I really do think I have to have it. Yeah, I mean, I ran with the Fennec for quite a while. I thought this weapon looks cool. The rate of fire is preposterous. There have still been moments where like I whip out this MP5, which I think is really well rounded. I love how quickly it aims down sight. I don't really aim down sight much for this thing. I'm not gonna lie to you, mate. Like the way they've built this one between the Merc foregrip and that 5 milliwatt laser, I am literally just spraying from the hip any opportunity I get. But when I come across the Fennec in certain ranges, there is a sweet spot where the Fennec just absolutely bends me over, and I've got nothing. I can't even compete. It's just like it's a scalping.
Yeah.
That's that one time where I'm like, oh man, the Fennec would have been nice here. I can kind of get away with the Kilo at that mid to long range. Just that sort of sweet spot where the MP5 is still good, but my AR would be okay. But this MP5, yeah, man, no complaints whatsoever. The mono integral suppressor is a must. The fact that I can rip people from the hip, 45 round mags, it's essential. The only things that ever get mixed in and out are, again, the stock. Sometimes I will be using sleight of hand for that fast reload, because the difference in the FTAC collapsible, basically the no stock, it's not negligible, but I don't notice it as much. I know it's there, but I really don't notice it as much.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Like I said, I think a lot of people would debate the Fennec and the MP7. Also, occasionally I see people running that, and you know, they all have different strengths. Like the MP7 is a little bit more stable long range. The Fennec is better up close. The MP5 is basically that middle range gun, and you know, it's so easy to kind of put across both that it's just so many people end up running it. One thing I will going to talk onto though, because we're going to go onto your perks now, and they're not massively different to what a lot of people run, because well, let's face it, right? There isn't so much you can do in this game to kind of change things up. Is there anything you thought about maybe changing up on these recently though?
There is, yeah. So when I look at my perk 3, obviously I've got amp set now, and that sort of seems to be a crutch. Obviously, faster weapon swap and rocket speed. You also use trophies faster. You use ammo boxes a little bit faster and all that. I think, in the strategy we have in Warzone now, the first loadout is typically your overkill class. The way I'm rethinking things recently, I'm like, I actually want that perk 3 at this point in time to maybe be something like battle hardened or tune up, where we're going for a lot more we're going for high kill games. We're trying to be a little bit more aggressive. The reason why I go for tune up is I got to get my boys back on their feet. I need to keep my troops up and running. So that additional 25% off of revive times, I think is really essential. That last perk, it was not necessarily the last perk, but the second loadout I grabbed, that's where my perk 3 should be more likely to be amped at that point in time, where I'm like, I can survive not swapping too quick, but I would rather keep the team moving as quickly as possible. And I think battle harden helps there as well. Less time on stuns and flashes, obviously massively helpful. Same with gas grenades, all that sort of stuff. So trying to keep the boys on the move. I've actually messed around quite a lot with Tracker. And I will say, it's really fun, especially in solos. I had a solo class that was like cold-blooded ghost Tracker. And I was like, I know what I am. Don't judge me. I'm aware of what I'm doing right now. And honestly, mate,
Tracker's so powerful.
It's so powerful. Because, I got to the point where I was using a thermal scope and everything. I was throwing smokes down. I was looking around, catching people running through smokes. I've got eyes on them because of my thermal weapons. That's another one. I ran a thermal growl for a while. Unbelievable.
I imagine it is, to be fair.
It's filthy. And if you're throwing smokes and they're in the smoke and you're just peppering them while they're running around not knowing what's going on, it's horrible. I'm not going to lie, mate. It's pretty horrible. But yeah, that perk 3 is something that I do try to mix up a lot. Obviously, Ghost is super popular for perk 2, but we've been experimenting with combining, is Point Man and Hardline, right? Yeah. Cheaper pickups on everything that stores, and Point Man gives everybody on the team more money. So if you've got someone on the squad running either of those, it just increases your output, increases how much money you're making, increases how much UAV time you got up. And there are some points in the game where it's like, oh cool, everyone's got 20k. The whole team's got 20 grand. Like, nice one, let's just get another advanced UAV. So yeah, there's a lot to mess around with there, but I think generally it's Ghost or nothing right now, because it's just, unless you're running restock and you're super aggressive, super high skilled team, I don't see why you wouldn't be running it.
No, that's fair. That's fair. The other thing I've noticed that's different about yours is when we go onto your lethal and tacticals, right? You're running a flash. I think it's the first time I've actually seen somebody running a flash. Even though, there has been discussions about late game, it's more viable.
Yeah. So for me, the flash it's just the most annoying thing in this game. It's getting blinded is one of the most painful things in this game. It feels like it lasts forever. And again, it just feels like no one else is running battle hardened, so no one else is going to be covered from that. And again, at this point in the game, I'm expecting to have 2. Some of my late game classes include restock as well, so I'm just chucking stuff constantly, which feels really good. Obviously, C4 is a very, very popular choice right now. I've been enjoying the Semtex for those quick sticks. I'm also noticing a lot of people in Warzone right now running riot shields. A lot. Yeah. More and more folks running riot shields. And whether it's the front or the back, obviously the C4 is still very useful at getting it done, but just getting a stick really, really helps in those situations. But yeah, for me, flash is pretty good. I know the heartbeat sensor is absolutely the go-to, and there's no reason why you shouldn't run it. But again, trying to play around the squad, who's running what, is somebody going to be running a heartbeat? Then I won't run a heartbeat. I know it's not a bad idea, but I've just been a big fan of flashes. My tactical use has been moderate to above average. So yeah, man, that's why I run the flash.
No, I love it. I think, especially, when it comes to late game, a lot of people are running Ghost anyway, so you can't see them on the heartbeat. So it's always viable the entire game. All right, let's talk about where you like to drop then. Where are you dropping in Verdansk?
So, mate, we all drop in Superstore. There's loads of money there. Usually there's people. It's the most fun start. I do love that one, but there's an area, and I know it's officially called, I think, Block 6, I think. It's northwest of Stadium, and it's this little residential area, loads of towns, little outdoor guns and that. And then if you keep going down the street, there's a big red warehouse. There's a restaurant, big blue warehouse, a red restaurant, and one of those big red roof buildings. And it's not too far away from TV station at this point in time. I really like that drop point because you still get a bit of action. You still get a ton of money off the rip. There's usually those houses, there's sort of like 3-bedders that have got like chests in every room. Those are really high drop locations for me typically. And it's a nice way to spice things up when you've been hitting Superstore for 2.5 hours, or you've been hitting airport, like the hangars area, or the aircraft maintenance, if you will. It's just a nice way to mix things up because you end up catching those players coming out of TV station, and you're only one bridge away from hitting airport and then hitting Superstore and catching stragglers there. So I just think it's a nice central position in the map. And again, if it's a naughty circle, if it's like a real southern, boneyard looking circle, you've got options there to move around. And there's typically vehicles in the area as well. So I always like that.
Yeah, for me, it's always a good alternate. Like, if you just want to kind of go away from some of the more regular drops, right? Some people go hangers, some people go Superstore, but like that's that area on the map is one of those places where you go, it's actually pretty good here. There's usually a few people dropping. There's lots of stuff in the area, lots more choice, and sometimes you just got to drop somewhere different. So for me, that's one of my like off drops. I was like, oh yeah, there this time around. No, I get
keep it fresh.
Yeah.
You've got to keep it fresh. I mean, I've had drops where I've gone to quarry and there's like 9 teams. I'm like, what are you all doing here? Why are you here? And it's not even like the lads and the dads. It's like good players and I'm getting ripped. I'm like, wow, that was a mistake. Not going quarry again. But it happens. It happens. There's so many people playing Warzone and it's a big map. And I just like the way that the circles move. So we can you see a lot more of the map than you would normally. There's some games where I feel like there are areas of the map where you just never go. Who went to Ghost Town? Back up.
Exactly. Nobody.
It never happened.
It was a ghost town. That's the funny part about it.
It was a day one thing. We were like, oh, this is nice. And we went over there and like, I'm never coming back here ever again. It is what it is. It is what it is.
It is what it is. All right, let's talk about your top tip for Warzone then. What's something you would advise people watching this now, either to get better or to play differently or anything?
Mate, that is a really, really good question. I think a lot of people, they do want to be the next Huskers. They want to be absolutely flying across map, using the Cali sticks, winning solo games with, almost 30 kills every time. I think everyone just needs to, just slow down a little bit. If you find yourself dying a lot, stop. Think, why am I dying all the time? Is it because I'm going to these hot locations? Is it because I don't have my weapons and I'm fighting people with their loadouts?
Yeah.
Slow down your game. Slow it down, even if it's just for a brief moment. The other top tip I would always give people is when you get that first down, don't clean them up straight away. Look for their teammates. A half-decent team, they're going to be attached to the hip, or they're at least going to be looking at each other. So watch those lines of sight. Get that first down. Immediately look for number 2. And if he's not coming, that guy on the floor, that's bait. Give him a tickle. Give him an MP5 round or 2. Just like that. I've got your boy. Come on out. Come on out. That's my best tip, I think. Use those players as bait.
I love that. I love that. Baiting out the people who you managed to down is a great tip. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me here, Miles. I do appreciate it.
An absolute pleasure, mate. An absolute pleasure. We've got to drop in Verdansk soon. We have to have a go.
We certainly do. We certainly do. All right. Thank you very much, mate. I'll see you soon.
Take care, brother.
Always great catching up with Miles the Ross, and make sure you go follow him on all his socials, and I know you'll be seeing him at a CDL event soon. But from the CDL to something off the meta, this week we look at the Car 98K and see just how viable is it to run in Verdansk. This week we are covering the Car 98K, a beautiful sniper rifle that a lot of people are using because of its fast ADS speed. Now, as you can see here in this game, I have a lovely camo for it, and I'm also going to show you the setup I like to use, and I think a lot of people end up using to make this a viable weapon in the world of Verdansk. Obviously, you're going to have your monolithic suppressor, a longer barrel, a tac laser, a variable zoom sight, and a stipple grip tape. The ideas behind these are to make the ADS pretty fast. There are other snipers who can do the same job as the car, but don't really think there are any that zoom in quite as quickly. It's a very easy weapon to use if you do fancy those kind of quick scope ins and taking someone down very rapidly. Of course, when you go into Warzone, it can be difficult to get enough shots onto them unless you hit your headshots. Myself personally, I'm not the greatest player with this weapon, but I have seen many streamers put up great highlights, and I know our top 5 this week has some in itself. It can be very, very effective. A lot of people choose to use this gun as a replacement for their main assault rifle. I'm undecided on that because realistically for me, everything I was doing with the car in game, I could probably get away with doing with a sniper rifle, and it has more versatility. Now, I don't mean that you shouldn't use it, because it's still a very viable weapon, and if you are going to go the sniping route, I can strongly recommend it. It is more versatile than most snipers, just because you are able to be more mobile with it, able to be quicker. You're not going to sit there for ages giving away the glint on your sniper rifle so people can see you. You're going to use it to zoom in and zoom out, get that shot, and keep on moving. So I can see why people use it. I also recommend, though, that you do pair this up with something like an SMG. It's really going to let you down in close quarters. You're not going to have an assault rifle that will allow you to fight in those areas. So something like the MP5 or maybe a Fennec, but a Fennec would be a little bit too troublesome to keep reloading. You want something with a little bit of staying power, because even if you are the best sniper in the world, when it comes to those medium and close range, you will be in serious trouble if you don't hit your shots, where you're going to have to rely on another weapon. I like this gun, though. This is a gun that's something that you may take just for a little bit more fun in the game, you know, something a little bit different. If you just want to constantly mount up with an assault rifle, you want to take the car, you can kind of zoom in and out and keep firing and rapid fire, putting the shots down range. It's also one of the benefits of taking a sniper rifle into Verdansk is if you do get pinned down by people who have the high ground, who all are on rooftops, you have the ability to kind of camp snipe them, and this gun does this very, very well, especially with the speed it has. And again, this is one of the things, like, if you want to kind of change your game up, maybe you do want to have a little bit of a slower gameplay and go on a few roofs and get a few bits of high ground, this is the perfect weapon for you. You're able to kind of take your shot, snap, go to a different place, come back, shoot again. I can recommend running the car. It's definitely the sniper rifle I would run in Verdansk. Well, there you go. I'm sure many of you watching this are better with that sniper rifle than I am. However, even with my limited skill in this case, I can tell you I think that gun is going to work very, very well. And if you do run it, you're going to have a lot of fun taking off people's heads from a long distance. But let's have a little look now into where we could possibly go. This week on our map highlight, we are going to military base. This week for our map highlight, we are going to the military base. The military base is located in the top part of your map. It is close to dam, and most people will end up rotating around that area if they can. For me, this is a really interesting drop for a few reasons. One, it's on the edge of the map, so it can be one of those very busy close drops if you do get it early on, but also because the geography of this place doesn't really define it. Unlike some places like downtown, you know it's going to be close quarters and rooftop to rooftop, or if you go somewhere like hangars, you know there's going to be wide open spaces and people fighting, you know, kind of around that L shape. This has such a mix of buildings, open spaces, and different areas that you don't really know what you're going to get. So for me, I like to drop into the tents with my teammates. There's not a lot of guns here to begin with, but it is usually safer than dropping into all the kind of prefabricated sheds that you're going to see. It's going to be a difficult place, though, to get any kind of cohesion going. You're going to struggle for guns to begin with and eventually find them. But because it is a big area, there will be other teams here, and you will eventually be able to find enough loot. And it just really depends, you know, if you have an SMG, stay close to the kind of the sheds, make sure you get into the tents, and then maybe look for a longer range weapon, because there is going to be the great big field you're going to have to go through, there are the bunkers you're going to look at, there is the warehouse, and there's even the training area. Like I said, it's about like 3 locations in one, this area, and it is going to be dangerous for you if you end up getting split up, because 1 second you're, you know, in a close area, next thing you're going to have to pass like a wide open area to get through, you know, from the tower to the training yard is a very dangerous area for yourself. There's usually 1 or 2 buy stations around here, and if you need to, you can rotate out of it. It's not the greatest area for rotation either, and I think that may be the problem with military bases. Where do you go next? Realistically, surrounding military bases are a lot of open fields or forests and rolling hills. So if you want to get into another kind of hot spot, like if you want to go to hangars or get into the airport, you do have to kind of go across a lot of open ground to do it. And of course, you know, being on one of the edges of the map, if you do have bad circles, you're going to be running those areas. And it's one of those things where, you know, vehicles are viable, but I'd strongly suggest grabbing yourself a trophy system, making sure that is on any vehicle that you and your team use to get out of this zone, because you don't know who's going to be in those areas. You're going to have to cover a lot of ground. The likelihood of you seeing somebody is going to be pretty high. But again, military base for me is one of these drops that I actually enjoy going, because it is a change of pace. It is a very different area of the map to kind of fight and control. And, you know, you can kind of tailor it to your needs, right? You want to get into close quarters and think that's where you shine. Plenty of areas to do that, as well as these longer areas. So basically, play military base however you want to. It's a great drop regardless. That's the map highlight. Well, there you go. That is Military Base. If you do go there, let me know in the comments. Is there something I missed? We are always ready to hear from you. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and check out all of our socials, Reddit r/Morezone and Twitter the Morezone. We are going to be back every single week, and I hope you have enjoyed this episode. But as a bonus, as we played this one out, a fan of the show sent in a reenactment of our theme tune. So we're going to play our normal theme tune, and then I will put in the extra theme tune at the end. Let me know what you think. Thank you all for watching. See you next time.
It's one. You only got one shot. Now the future is yours. Let's go.